Hey guys, welcome back. Today, I want to talk about the cast of characters that make up a narcissistic family system. And in the title, I put understanding your role. And what I mean by that is that everyone obviously has their role, right, in a narcissistic family system. Unlike a role in a movie where people audition and choose their roles, the narcissist assigns everyone their role. And the reason why I say it's important for you to understand your role is because if somebody has put you in a role for a long time and they have conditioned you to stay in that role, then you can leave that family system and that role has been internalized. And you can do things that continue to recreate the pattern that you had with the narcissistic family system. So that's where narcissistic abuse meets complex PTSD recovery. Hopefully that'll make sense by the end of this video. So without further ado, let's dive in. For those that don't know me, my name is Michele. I'm a certified life and relationship coach. I specialize in helping people break free of narcissistic abuse as well as complex PTSD. I'm also the founder of the Thriver School of Transformation, which is an interactive monthly membership where we meet live on Zoom every week and we do the inner work together. So if you're curious about that, I'll leave the link here for you to check it out. Okay, so let's start with talking about this family system. And honestly, I feel like the best way to do that is by thinking of the game of chess. Okay, now I'm going to say that the king in a game of chess is the narcissist, not because it's male. I really, really want to clarify the fact that narcissists can be male or female, and there's a ton of information in the media that can show the reality of that, even as I'm speaking. But for the sake of the explanation using the chess game, let's just say that the narcissist is represented by the king. The king does the least on the board, and yet everyone is scrambling around, revolving around the king. Very fitting of a narcissistic family system. So the narcissist really is orchestrating everything that's going on in the family system. So the queen, we'll say, is represented by the significant other of the narcissist. And this is usually a codependent enabler. And that's a hard truth pill to swallow, okay? But most narcissists will pick somebody that is seeking approval in some way. Maybe they have a shame wound, right? So what they do with this person is they use intermittent hot and cold to trauma bond that person. So their significant other craves love. Maybe they didn't get it in childhood. So the narcissist love bombs them and gives them what they always wanted, but then they pull it away. And they create this push and pull relationship that causes their significant other to become so focused on achieving the ability to get that person to be who they were in the beginning, to be that person that gave them the love that they had been craving for so long. And so without realizing it, their whole purpose becomes all about that. Not consciously, they're not choosing to make that their focus consciously, but it's like a subconscious wound has been activated and they're constantly trying to heal that wound, that shame wound, by trying to please the narcissist to get that love back again. So that intermittent hot and cold that the narcissist gives to their significant other creates this trauma bond. And then that codependent is being manipulated to think that if they can just get it right, if they can just do things exactly how they should be, that the other person will then be who they originally were and all the problems will be solved. Okay, without realizing it, they're basically taking all of the responsibility for what's going on, and they're trying so hard to appease this person, thinking that by doing so, then everything in the family will be okay. But without realizing it, by cleaning up their messes, by constantly shape-shifting to try to please them, they're accidentally enabling the abusive behavior of the toxic person. But the truth is that the enabler and codependent really just wants reciprocity. They want to give love, but they want to receive it back. And the narcissist is like the jockey with the carrot on the stick, right? They're putting what the enabler and codependent is craving just out of reach. And so if you're in that role, you're constantly trying harder and harder to please an unpleasable person. And the reason is because every time you do what they want, they change the rules. So it's this never-ending cycle of hot and cold. And this feeds the narcissist's craving for narcissistic supply. You stop living for you. You stop your passions. You stop the things that mean something to you. Again, not consciously, but you stop these things because you're chasing something that is an illusion. So that's the role of the codependent enabler. And a lot of times the person stays stuck in that role because they think it's their responsibility. The narcissist has trained them to think that if they're angry, it's your fault. If things are going wrong, it's because of you, not because of them. They also make the codependent enabler feel like it's their responsibility to regulate the emotions of the narcissist. Okay, so that's one role. Then as the family grows, there are children that come along. So when that first child comes along, they can either be the golden child or the scapegoat. Honestly, there's no real rhyme or reason. Sometimes it's said that a narcissist will pick a certain child to be the scapegoat because maybe they see things in that child that remind them of themselves, right? Either way, regardless, the scapegoat and the golden child, one is not better or worse than the other. It's just that the narcissist splits their own personality in half, and everything they hate about themselves has to go somewhere. And so that goes on to the scapegoated child. What they don't like about themselves, they project into into that scapegoated child. And so when they see that child, it's like it's a reminder of everything in themselves that they don't like. And so the treatment for that child is horrible. They make that child feel a lot of shame because they're feeling shame inside. So they will provoke that child to feel shame. And the second the scapegoated child feels shame, they feel better. And so they're regulating their own shame now through provoking it in a child, which is so absolutely abusive. Okay. But that's what they're doing. With the other child, they see that child, again, it's not because that child has these qualities or not, but it's because they need to put in someone everything they wish they were. So the golden child, it may sound like it's a great role to have in, considering this family system, at least it would be the least abusive. But the reality is it's just as abusive as well, because the golden child can only stay the golden child if they morph their personality to be exactly what the narcissist wants reflected back to them. The only difference is because they get the praise and the scapegoat gets the negative abuse, in a sense, their role is the most damaging in the sense, I know a lot of you are like, no, the scapegoat. But what I'm trying to say is the scapegoat sees the narcissist for who they are. They see the abuse. And for that reason, the majority of scapegoats go and get help because they realize something's wrong. When you are being abused and manipulated and you don't see it, that's when you become the abuser. That's when the scapegoat adopts the role of narcissist because they don't see that as a bad thing. But the bottom line is that the golden child is the one that is supposed to reflect back to the narcissist what the narcissist needs to feel about themselves. No one in that family system is allowed to be themselves. You are always walking on eggshells, trying to do anything and everything to avoid conflict, rage, and attack. In a narcissistic family system, there are also flying monkeys, which are the people that follow the narcissist's perception of what everything is. They're people that buy into the narcissist's story, the narcissist's reality, and believe it. Again, because the narcissist is manipulating them. Who they show themselves to be in front of the scapegoat is not who they show themselves to be in front of a flying monkey. A flying monkey can be extended family members. A flying monkey can be other children as well. And what they're doing with this scenario with the flying monkey is they are convincing those flying monkeys that you are the problem if you're the scapegoated child or the codependent significant other. Those are the two roles where everything is somehow their fault. And so they convince these other people, and they do this by setting you up. If you're going over the flying monkey's house, let's say they're family members that don't live with you, they will cause horror before getting to that house. Then, because they cause you to feel so much shame and to be so dysregulated emotionally, they feel better. You go into the flying monkey's house, the narcissist is like charming as anything. And you're like still shaking from the abuse. This helps them to set up the storyline that you're the problem. They'll do this with the scapegoated child as well. They'll say something really horrible to provoke that child when no one's around. And then when that child is provoked, they're like, look, see what I have to deal with? You know, life would be amazing, but look at this child. This child has problems. This child is a mess. There's something wrong with this child. And so everything is blamed on the scapegoated child. And if the flying monkeys support that, imagine a scapegoated child just believes it even more. Nobody believes the reality of the scapegoat. So you grow up not even being able to trust your own reality. And then the last role that I want to mention are the pawns on a chessboard. The pawns are awesome pieces in a game of chess to triangulate. So you can think of the pawns in a narcissist's life as anyone that they triangulate against their family members with. Sometimes they use another family member. Sometimes they use somebody outside of the family. But it's all designed to cause drama and chaos in you so that they can feel calm and together inside of themselves. Now, nothing I just said is new. There's so much information on those family roles, and I didn't go into depth because for me, the most important thing that I wanted to say in this video isn't so much the fact that the narcissist picks those roles for you. But what I really want to stress in this video is the reality that you need to know what role you have been put in, because you can accidentally continue to carry out that role with other people. And again, this is where narcissistic abuse meets complex PTSD recovery. You can leave a narcissistic family system and stay in your role if you don't break out of it, because the role is carried out because of our subconscious beliefs. And our subconscious beliefs have been in place for so long, you've been conditioned to stay in them for so long that they become your default beliefs. You don't try to feel that way. You don't try to see yourself that way. You just do, because you've had those beliefs instilled and ingrained in you for so long. So the two roles that I'm going to focus on that people get stuck in are the scapegoat and the codependent. Okay, so talking about the scapegoated role. The beliefs that often a scapegoat will develop because of the abuse that they endured from a narcissistic parent are, I'm less than, there's something wrong with me, I am bad, it's my job to make other people happy, I'm not allowed to be myself because people will get mad, I'm less than, my perspectives don't matter, I cannot stand behind my reality unless somebody else validates it. And that's just a few of the beliefs that are instilled in somebody that becomes the scapegoat, or had to be the scapegoat, I should say. If those beliefs are active in you in your adult life, you will accidentally continue to recreate dynamics where you are treated in such a way that those beliefs stay alive. So my point is, if you leave the narcissistic family system, you really have to upgrade your beliefs, because those beliefs support a narcissistic family system. Even if we don't want them to, they just do. If I am less than, if there's something wrong with me, then, I'm always looking at myself and I'm not really looking at the problem. I'm not looking at the real abuser. I'm so focused on it's me, blaming self all the time. If we stay like that, then we're never able to raise ourselves to be just as good as other people. So we really have to uproot those beliefs. If you struggle with that, make sure you check out the Thriver School of Transformation, because that's what that school is designed to do, to help you to really do the inner work so that you get rid of the role that a narcissist molded you into. Okay. But that's that role. Same thing with the codependent and enabler role. It's not enough to leave that narcissist. If you still have the beliefs and the traits of codependent, which means I need you to love me so that I feel lovable. A codependent has been trained that they can only feel good about themselves if the other person gives them that love. They depend on someone else to have their emotional needs met. Okay, and that comes from abuse in childhood. If your emotions weren't met in childhood, then you can easily fall into that role as the codependent in a relationship in your adult life. So again, it's not just about getting rid of the toxic person. It's about looking at the beliefs that were instilled in you that kept you in that role of codependent and enabler. Because until you change those beliefs, you're susceptible to falling into relationships that continue to affirm those beliefs. That's the hardest part of recovery, because we can look at the other person and see what they did. They made me the scapegoat. They did this. They said that. This is what they did. This is who they are. And obviously that's a part of recovery. We have to see that. We have to understand what happened outside of self, but then we have to realize that they did that, 100% true. But the only person that can uproot it from you so that you don't have to live with the side effects of narcissistic abuse the rest of your life is you. So make sure you take time. If you're watching videos about narcissists, make sure you also take time to watch videos about complex PTSD recovery. In fact, I just started posting on a new channel that is just about cptsd recovery, childhood trauma recovery. I'll leave the link here for anyone that wants to look at information that's helpful so that you can do the inner work to heal from narcissistic abuse.